All right. Tennessee 20, Texas A&M 13. I said to you, Crump, before we got on here, that was ugly as sin, but ugly is still a win. That's
Win's a
what
win.
Tennessee. Exactly. You went out there and you got the dub. You only scored 3 points and 3 offensive points in that second half. But hey, again, a win is a win is a win. You're gonna take it every day of the week. And so Tennessee squeaks by Texas A&M, as we said, kind of going into that second half. That's a tough one for Jimbo Fisher and a big must win for Tennessee. So thank goodness. But we're going to break it all down. We're going to talk about the Alabama game too. But I got to tell you about our sponsors. First, BetterHelp. Go to betterhelp.com/ATOZ sports and save 10% on your first month with BetterHelp. Zen Sports, the fastest growing sportsbook in Tennessee. Use code A2ZTN to get 5% cash back on your total betting volume for your first 15 days of betting. That's Zen Sports. And Rattle and Snap, Tennessee whiskey from Logstill Distillery. Make your own luck, just like Tennessee's fast-paced Rattle and Snap offense with Rattle and Snap Tennessee whiskey. I said it at halftime. Not a whole lot of rattle or snap with that offense in this game, but you somehow, and this is the real place to start right here. The first victory of Josh Heupel's time at Tennessee, where he won without scoring 30 points.
That's intriguing.
Yeah, that's to me, that's a big point that kind of needs to be discussed here. But we're going to talk about it all, and I'll throw it to you first. Crump, what do you think of that second half? What we just watched?
At least we won. Not the most impressive. Still giving up a couple plays on defense, but we made plays when we needed to at the end. That last interception, I'm not going to. They're pressing it downfield, but the one before was, that we needed that for sure.
Yeah.
Alarming that we only threw for 100 yards. I really disagreed with that second down play call after the first interception in the red zone to make them at least use another timeout instead of running an RPO or a bootleg out to the right, and they had great coverage. I mean, let's just call it like it is. Did he throw the ball very well? Overall, probably not. But there were some plays that you go, kudos to Texas A&M defense or the secondary. Our guys did not get open when asked to get open. You know what I mean? Like, unless it was completely schemed that they should be wide open, they didn't get open. It just all around. I've said all year, I'm not ecstatic about the receiving core right now. Brew is my, I guess you say my breadwinner going in. Obviously, he's out now. Somebody's got to step up, take a little bit of pressure off of Joe, but he's got to make throws when they're there. But I think the definition of today was third down. He throws a strike on a slant route and hits our dude in the chest. Thank God it bounces up and Castles catches it.
When the bounces come to you, you got to take advantage,
100%. I'm just saying he finally throws a good ball and we don't catch it. It's like if they're open, he overthrows them. If he throws a good ball, they don't catch it. You know what I mean? It's almost like the perfect storm right now. That, it's just what it is. When he finally ran the ball, it helped us. It really did. I don't know. I'm very. I'm not going to say confused. I mean, a win is a win, and we'll take 5-1 heading to Alabama any day of the week right now.
Absolutely,
it's better than 4-2. But there's a lot of things we got to clean up. That's for sure.
I can't remember a game that ugly. A game, you have like some ugly games against like snoozer teams, against kind of in the bye games. Sometimes you just don't show up. Your head's not in the game. You end up having an ugly game, and you still end up winning by 20. I have a hard time remembering the last time Tennessee played this ugly and still won a game. It would have been before Josh Heupel, I think. I mean, this is really the first time under Josh Heupel where it's been like this, where it was just a painful slog, but you you got it out. You got that victory. I mean, it's just been a lot of times with Heupel. It's either a crazy shootout that you outlasted. You think like Kentucky in his first year, or it's just really nice back and forth. The Alabama game last year, just a lot of high level play. There hasn't been a game where Tennessee has just been at times really bad in this game. I mean, with the offense specifically, the defense got it out a great game in this one, and that's something we'll have to talk about. But where just with this offense, I mean, 3 second half points, D Williams saving your butt on the punt return. Yeah, I mean, it just was ugly, and you still won. And I think you got to go back before Heupel to really find another game like this. It happened with Butch a decent amount. But man, I don't know. I still ugly. I just can't get over with this one just because of the implications of this. You can't not be happy after that one. It's still like that.
Oh yeah, no. Then
just,
I'll be honest with you, the only reason why I'm not like fully ecstatic right now is I'm running off of no sleep. I'm exhausted from my game last night and had a long day today. But like internally, I'm ecstatic that we're 5-1. It's just not showing right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to kind of recap real quick, 5-1, that's a good thing going down to Tuscaloosa. It just, I'm going to keep harping on this. No, I'm not going to sit here and say that Joe is the best thing since sliced bread, because he's not. But we've got to find a receiver, preferably two, to step up to help our run game. Because our run game, with Cooper back, our run game is good. Another 237 on the ground, averaging 4.9, so 5 yards a carry. That's nice. The unfortunate part, we didn't have a rushing touchdown. That would have been nice and icing on the cake for me personally. But 48 rushes again tonight, 237. That's good. But the positive of this is, quote unquote, ugly as everybody feels it is. An ugly win is better than a pretty loss.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's better than going, oh, we put up, I'm just making up stuff. We put up 60 and blah, 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 blah. Oh, but we lost though. Right. So I would gladly take this type of win over losing any day of the week. And obviously everybody would.
This comment here, Pat says that Zach Reagan, our compatriot here at A to Z Sports, he said Zach Reagan described this game perfectly. Someone's going to win this game. No one deserves to. That's very well put. Like it was.
I disagree with that, but that's okay.
Well, yeah, I think you get the sentiment of it. It's obviously kind of in jest for Twitter, but like it felt like two teams trying to lose a game. Like it was like, who is going to make the least amount of mistakes? I think Tennessee, home advantage, just the defense really digging its feet into the ground and just, not letting Texas, giving any let up to Texas A&M, and especially their quarterback. I don't know how the kid is still standing, frankly. They crushed him all day long.
Yeah.
But it just was, I mean, you look at those, that final possession for Tennessee, like that's the epitome of the entire game. You're in this incredibly advantageous spot and you go, oh, let's shut the door. And it starts with a false start. Like it was that. That's that game in a nutshell for Tennessee. Oh, you got an interception. Defense made a nice play. Oh, you're in this great spot. Pre-snap penalty. Like that's that entire game in just one little sequence right there. It felt like, but it's, again, my final thought on this for the entirety of the show is going to be there's a W in the win column. And that's what counts here. And you have plenty to work on, plenty to go back to the drawing board with for practices this week. And I think you're going to kind of go into this Bama game with sort of a, what do we have to lose? We're going to be, Bama's going to be a probably 10-point favorite. And like it's, you got to be.
No, never mind. I was about to say, because Bama's not what they have been in the past, but they're still good. I was about to say there might be more, but no, I think 8 to
their
10.
offense pretty rough. Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say that's 8 to 10.
But and you look at Tennessee's defense. Like Tennessee's defense should be able to eat. Arkansas won in the line of scrimmage a lot today, and I watched almost all of that game. And so overall tons to work on, but A win is a win is a win is a win is a
Yep.
win. And that's the bottom line. Let's get to our first sponsored segment here. And this one's always fun. Everybody, we got 200 people in here watching with us. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're here, drop into the comments and give us one word for how you're feeling. Tennessee 20, Texas A&M 13. I'm actually really interested to know what people say here.
It should be good.
Yeah. One word for how you're feeling at this moment. You got the win. Hey, it's a win. But it was pretty rough around the edges. So drop into the comments, give us your one word, and then Crompton and I will both give ours right after I tell you about Better Help. If I can find the graphic, there it is. If you're a Tennessee fan like me and Crump, you know how many years the Big Orange have shaved off your life with the emotional roller coaster of college sports, or maybe the roller coaster of life is messing with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals. Regardless, if you have a clinical health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human being going through a hard time, therapy can give you tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that's where BetterHelp comes into play. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable, more accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be hard, especially when you're limited to just the options in your area. And BetterHelp's platform makes finding a therapist easier because it's online and remote. BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. Plus, with our link, BetterHelp.com/ATOZ sports, you get 10% off your first month. See a therapist because maintaining your mental health is just as important as maintaining your physical health. BetterHelp.com/ATOZ sports is where you go for 10% off your first month. BetterHelp, thanks to them, support them because they support us. Let's see. One word for how you're currently feeling after that 20-13 ugly win, but a win nonetheless. Let's see. Bradley starts us off on an interesting note because it's two words. But hey, heart attack. Juan says happy. Tony Clark says defensive. Billy Bob says butthurt. Bobby Peterson, he makes it one word. He says wide receiver with a question mark. Trevor Duncan, drunk.
There you go.
Yeah, I normally would have BetterHelp here, or not BetterHelp. I mean, BetterHelp's our great sponsor. I would normally have Rattle and Snap whiskey here. I haven't had dinner yet, though, so I'm putting it off because then I will be just like Trevor. I will be very drunk. Wes says exhausted. Jonathan glorious. Dan relieved. Nug says frustrated, but also relief. Trish says exhausted. I'll throw it to you, Crump. Your one word for how you're feeling after that game.
Well, I think a lot of people may have already said it, but it's a word, but it kind of a letter, but kind of a name. D.
Oh man,
for D Williams. I mean, the bottom line is if we don't get it, kind of works for multiple things. D meaning defense when we pin them at the half-yard line, and then also D for D Williams for the punt return because that's ultimately what put us over the top.
I mean, you look at it. You won by a touchdown, and he scored that touchdown. You only scored 3 offensive points in that second half, and there it is. Like, he was a huge difference maker there, and that moment in the game was so cool because you could feel it coming. Like the announcers have been talking about it. Oh, they don't want to put it in D Williams' hands. Not many teams do. Yada yada yada. And then finally, terrible punt. You back them way up. You almost get them into a safety there at their own goal line, and then the punter just puts up a stinker right to D Williams. They give him plenty of room to run, and bada bing, bada boom. You know, he makes it into the end zone, and you could just feel it coming. You were like, oh, here's the moment. This is D's moment right here, and he saves your butt. You win by a touchdown. He scores a huge special teams touchdown. And, you know, congratulations all the way around. Let's see some more Kigas for one word for how you're feeling. He says worried for what's to come in parentheses there. Casey says win. Darren says weird. Tim says win. Jacob says exasperated. Great word. Just like Crump. Mr. Jones, who you had a little battle with in our last show. He says D. You guys were thinking on the same plane there. Michael says precarious. The sunken grave. Oh, very spooky for for Halloween season. He says happy. Lou Man says face mask. There were 2 missed face masks. Now Lou Man's a Vandy fan. Everybody should know that. He watches our show for some reason. And we thank him for that. We appreciate it. Dom says indifferent. Karen says excited. Tim says sorry for 2 words, but sloppy Joe. Titans says control. Jonathan says defense. I don't know exactly where I go here. I will put it this way: conflicted. There's my word. Because I'm very happy with 5-1. That's a great spot. Going in to Alabama at 5-1 in this sort of tweener year, coming off, obviously the sort of dream season last year. And if Tennessee wins this game by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, something like that, you're feeling completely ecstatic. Holy cow. It's unbelievable. 5-1, disappointing loss to Florida, but hey, you're 5-1. That's better than most seasons in the last 15 years to this point. But you just look and you just know Joe Milton is not doing what he needs to do. Period. He's just not. Does that mean you need to switch to Nico? That's a completely other conversation. But and it's what people are going to want to know about. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Don't worry. But he's not doing what he needs to do. To your point, Crompton, the wide receivers they don't look sharp. They don't look like they got what the dudes last year had. Offensive line is doing their job. The running game is doing their job, but you didn't score a rushing touchdown today. Defense does look great. DBs, a little bit of a dicey day, but overall did exactly what they needed to do. 2 interceptions to close out the game. And, they're solid overall, but I'm conflicted. You got all of these different feelings of, hey, we won. We beat Texas A&M. What a nice win. Also, Alabama's coming next week, and your quarterback doesn't, really know what's going on.
So I'm gonna go this way. And one, I don't know who it was. I'm not gonna lie to you. I said, well, telling me don't be afraid to not criticize, blah blah blah. BS. I've said it all year. Our receiver course sucks. I've said it all year. I've said it all this whole time. Our secondary sucks. The only interceptions we've got have been gifted to us. So stop acting like our defense is all this and a bag of chips. It's not. All of you, and that includes you right now, Charlie, in the sense of we got 2 interceptions. He airmailed an out route. The CBS announcers, who are garbage anyway, said it was like catching a punt return. So it's not like they played great. 3rd and 20s and they're getting it. 3rd and 18s and they're getting it. 2nd and 20 and they get 19 yards on the last drive. So stop giving me the this BS and only blaming the quarterback. Does he need to play better? Does he need to play better? Yes, I've said that. Our pass rush and our front 7 is awesome on defense. Our back 4 sucks. Our receiving core sucks. I've said it all year. So stop acting like I haven't criticized. All right? Just because I don't come out here and blast the quarterback like everybody wants everybody to do because they have not a damn thing else to do. Understand the game of football. This is not a one-person sport. This is not a one-person sport. Does he need to make better throws? Yes, I've said it every week. But until a receiving core catches wide open passes, stop giving me the same BS every week. That's brutal honesty. Stop feeding the same BS every week because it's the quarterback. Oh, we're 5-1. Is he playing great? No. I've said it every week. We are a run-first team. We are. That is our offense. We run the piss out of the football. Is Heupel calling the best games in the world? He's calling decent enough games for what we're giving right now because our wide receivers are not very good. That's just, and everybody can get mad, do whatever, blah, 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 and say this. Our secondary is horrible for an SEC secondary. We'll say it that way. They're good, but for an SEC secondary, that's just what it is. Receivers, for SEC caliber receivers, are not very good. We have SEC running backs. We do.
Oh, yeah.
We got an SEC front 7 on defense. We do. You know what I'm saying? But the receiving core and the back 4 are not, which then in turn make the quarterback look subpar. And that's what everybody just wants to jump on the bandwagon.
Well, I'll give credit here for something that Milton did that I really liked. And I think this was a conscious effort by Heupel too, but he had some runs in this game where he ran a little angry and he ran over a guy, got in his face, was kind of standing over him, talking his business. And I do that all the time. That's because that's the toughest thing with Joe Milton right now. He looks like a head case and his situational awareness is pretty rough. and then you get into the wide receivers to that point.
All right, so here's my question.
I'm
asking a question about the head case.
Okay.
What makes you think head case? I'm just asking because I know the offense. So is it because he looks one side, then goes the other, and holds the ball?
I mean,
no, I'm asking. That is a legitimate question.
I mean, when I say head case, the thing that I really go to is like when it's a free play and you go like, just chuck the ball downfield, son. What are you doing? And he goes and runs inside. That's happened 2 weeks in a row. It's stuff like that. And when they're lining up and they end up having to waste a timeout. And
have you watched the film and seen if anybody was running deep? No, I'm just asking you. Have you?
I mean, obviously, I would.
What's the TV copy? It shuts it off so you don't see anybody deep. I'm just asking. So have you went back and watched the film to see?
I mean, I'd have to go back.
No. It's yes or no. It's yes or no.
I do know this.
Answer the question.
They were beyond beyond the first down marker. I do know that.
Answer the question. Answer the question.
No, I don't know, but I know
there you go.
So
stop saying that's a head case. Have you been in that situation?
Come on, man.
No, don't give me come on.
Rob.
That's not how I get that this is a show and we're going to criticize. I've said so many times he's got to play better. But stop nitpicking because you want to. And that goes for everything, right? In every position. I'm not an offensive lineman. I've not blocked a straight up bull rush. Right? But I get it. I know what you're saying, but that doesn't make somebody a head case. That's my thing. And no, whoever Midtown Power, I'm not going to die on this hill. I'm just speaking facts to you. You're nitpicking to find stuff to say we need to bench a player. I'm not saying he's a Heisman contender. I'm not saying he's a first-round draft pick. I'm not saying he is a top 5 or 6 SEC quarterback right now. But what I'm trying to tell you is everybody, including you, is saying he's this, he's this, he's this. Well, the reality is the system is making him be that way because of the lack of consistency, I'll say. No, as Mark just said, he doesn't have the it factor. I agree. Totally. But that doesn't make him a head case and say that he's this, and this because he doesn't throw it 48 yards downfield when somebody jumps off sides. That is the most BS argument about that.
Well, I mean, I would also go to and I don't know this still that this makes him a head case, but his timing is not as on the ball as Hendon Hooker's. Like there's just a lot. Timing in what sense? Like, what do you mean? Like I was trying to think exact situation it was in the game, but it was I forget who was open in the end zone. I think it was Chaz Nimrod, but it was maybe like just a 30-yard route into the end zone, and it was a throw. It happened like in the LSU game last year with Hendon Hooker when one of the touchdowns that they scored. It was just like kind of a simple guys open over the top. And you just nail him. And Joe was just late on the throw. I think even Gary Danielson said it on the broadcast. And he's just, you just look and you go, if you threw that ball a second earlier, that's right in the bread basket, and it's right there. He threw it to the right spot even, but he threw it just like a second too late. And you're like, you got to have that awareness and you got to be there and like that. It just isn't synced up like it was before. And
because we have
whatever that makes them.
And also, once again, this is not an individual sport. We have very subpar, inconsistent receiving core right now. We do. What I'm getting at is the issue is bigger than just one position. Is guess what I'm getting at? It's not just one position. We have multiple issues. The positive is we have multiple issues, and we're 5-1.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
That's the positive of it to me.
I
was reading a comment. Sorry.
Are you frozen on your end? I'm frozen.
You're frozen on my end.
Okay, I'm just making sure, but we can still hear each other. So hopefully,
yes, I was kind of worried about
all right.
that, not gonna lie.
Hopefully, we're still live.
I think comments are still coming, so I'm reading one real quick.
Okay, good.
But we and so Darren asked a great question. I don't know if you can still see the comments, Charlie. He was asking me if I think it's his football IQ or the play calling or supporting players. In this system, it's not so. And this is an opinion. I don't think it's so much IQ, because most of the things we do in the pass game are option based, and it's the receiver making the decision. That's the positive is in the system, you can put up gaudy numbers. The negative of the system, we've talked about this before. If the receivers are indecisive or you're indecisive on which way they're going to go, you can hold the ball an extra half a second or second too long and take an unwarranted sack, right? Or God forbid, a turnover because of I'm kind of like I think he's going here, and oh, okay, now he went. That's the part that I don't like about this system. We talked about it at halftime. It just you got to have. It goes back to essentially Clemson from 2012. You got to have one or two dudes at wide receiver to make this train go. And once we get those guys again, because we had them last year, once we get them again, these talks will be so few and far between. It's just we gotta get some guys, and we may have them in the room. They just gotta get more confidence in the system, more playing time, because they're all, even if they're seniors or not, they're still young in the games because they didn't play a lot. Those types of things. That's where we're hurting. Our run game is confident as hell. Man, it's just what it is. It's in sync, and Jalen Wright he's a dude.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you got those guys are coming. You got Mike Matthews coming down the pike. I mean, he's one of the best wide receivers in this upcoming class, and you will get there. I mean, yeah, conceptually, I would say that I agree with you overall, but you're just not going to escape that conversation this year. You're just not going to. You got the number one player in America sitting on the bench, and that's where you're at.
Listen, and I get it. I'm not trying to escape the conversation. I'm just going to shoot you straight and tell you how it is, instead of playing and living in la la land of I just want things to happen rather than the fact of what's happening.
Well, we do have to get to the second sponsor segment here on the show. I'm trying to figure out how to get this unfrozen. I don't have control over my graphics.
Yeah, am I frozen on your end?
You are, and I hope that we're not frozen on the actual YouTube stream. If we are, I apologize.
Somebody earlier, I don't know what platform they were on. All that said was you're live. So that was on Facebook. So I don't know about YouTube.
Yeah, I was trying to look. I mean, it does say that we're live. It looks like I'm frozen on the actual stream. So maybe here in just a second, I'll throw the question to you and then maybe like log off and come back. But here, let's do this much. Rattle and Snap Tennessee Whiskey, the stat of the game. That's what we're going to talk about next. And I'll give you the rundown on Rattle and Snap. Nothing goes better with a Tennessee sports victory like this one right now. I mean, Tennessee won. They did. But nothing goes better with a Tennessee victory than a great whiskey. And I'm talking specifically about Rattle and Snap Tennessee Select Straight Whiskey. Logstill Distillery has a Tennessee whiskey product line called Rattle and Snap, named after a long-forgotten game of chance. Rattle and Snap is a whiskey for those who make their own luck. There's a 4-year and an 8-year version. They're both awesome. If you have watched this show in weeks past, you've seen it. You know all about it. It's my favorite whiskey. We bring it on here, and I usually am imbibing after the games. Great in cocktails, great and neat in a glass. You can find it in stores across Tennessee and also in Kentucky, Indiana, and Mississippi. Run and don't walk to get yourself some Rattle and Snap whiskey for these Tennessee sports victories. And follow them on Instagram, Rattle and Snap Whiskey. Now, I'll throw it to you, Cromp, and I'll do what I just said. I'm going to leave and come back, but I'll throw it to you. Your stat of the game for Tennessee's 20-13 victory.
Nice. Honestly, my stat of the game, surprise, 237 for 237 rushing yards. As we've all talked about this before, we're a run-heavy team. I love that we run the ball. Oh, I'm right in the middle. All right, we're winging it. I love that we run the ball the way that we do. Our O-line, there was a comment a second ago, said our O-line's so much better now that May's back. Totally agree. There are a few penalties per game that you go, oh, crap, it's not in the right time. I wish it didn't happen in the moment. You know what I mean? And that type of stuff. So that's always going to happen, though. The bottom line is, in the run game, or really any play in particular, there can always be a holding call. Like they can call holding every play of every game. So those things are going to happen. Yes, I get upset about them, and I was upset about them at halftime. But 237 rushing yards. If we average that, I mean, hell, last year we were only needing to average 150 to 160. Now we're averaging like 230 a game, which is absurd. So I'm in love with that fact. And I mean, that's where we're going. And so Charlie, what I was saying is mine was 237 for the rushing yards. Saw a comment that said our O line so much better now that Cooper's back. Totally agreed. Like totally agree. And yes, was I hard on Ollie at halftime? Yes. But like I said, at the O-line position in any football game, you can call holding every play. You could. Because they do grab jerseys. They're taught to. So those things are going to happen. There's really never a good time for a holding call, right? But I would, I'm really excited about the run game because last year we were what were we averaging, like 150, 160 a game ish. Now we're averaging like 230. When we can run the ball, so we're not going to average 50 points a game this year. We all thought we would, me included. All right, but 5-1 is also 5-1. It doesn't matter if you win 1 or nothing or 60 to 59.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree. It's a huge stat. I think I'll go where a lot of other folks would go here. Let's see if the defensive stats are up. 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. I want that pressures number, but it doesn't look like that's up there yet. Tennessee just lived in Texas A&M's backfield, and I think that bodes well because I don't think you're gonna face offensive lines that are just hugely better than Texas A&M's. It's a pretty decent offensive line. Like, it's not terrible. And
I will say this: next week's quarterback is worse than this week's quarterback we played. He's just a better athlete, but quarterback, he's not as good as Johnson.
He's got a real kind of Anthony Richardson thing going on.
Yeah,
can't throw the ball too well, but he'll run all over you, and you got to watch.
But by God, he'll beat you running it. But like with
what
we played tonight in the pass game, we're facing a lesser pass offense next week than we did tonight or today. I guess you'd say.
Absolutely. I mean, if you watch that Arkansas game, I personally, Alabama's very vulnerable. Can Tennessee play its best game in that spot? You can't play like you did this week. I would put it that way. Plain and simple.
Well, if Alabama shows up like they did in South Florida, we're good.
We just need that version of Alabama, and we need a version of Tennessee that I'm not sure we've seen yet.
Listen, Alabama's not unbeatable. If our front seven on the defense come to play, that'll make him be in a very vulnerable position that he's not used to being in, right? And I think he'll make us a pretty good amount of mistakes if we can get pressure like we did tonight.
Yeah, you got to have him completely out of sorts, and that game will be there if Tennessee can score points. And I can't believe I'm saying that after last year that we're saying, oh yeah, the front seven is crushing everybody and the offense can't score. It feels like I'm watching Titans
to
football.
me. But to me, that's the beauty of football in the sense of every year is different. I mean,
it really is.
Every team's different. Because you got guys leaving, guys coming in, all that stuff. You don't know who's going to step up. All of that. None of us thought it was going to be this way, especially after the Orange Bowl. But like I said, something's happened. And what was his name? Golis or
Alex Golis. Yep.
Was he? We've talked about this a few weeks ago, or about a month ago, I guess. Was he a bigger part than we thought? I mean, honestly, was he?
Maybe, man.
And I don't know. And that obviously that is all just hypothetical.
I think
it is what it is. But
I think you'll really find that out when you see Nico playing his best football. Like, that's you got to see it more than just like the star guy that's played incredible football and then now his successor. I think it'll be more sussed out over time because I still think, it's Heupel's baby. It's his brainchild.
It is, but Golish had more of a say than we think in the offense.
That's true. Yeah.
And that's just, you can call. I mean, Mark Richt was the same way with Mike Bobo at Georgia back in the day. Even though Bobo was the OC, Mark still called plays, but it was Bobo's deal during the week, if that makes sense, because you still got to be the head coach. Right. So that's where the OC does have a bigger say. So even if Heupel called it on game days.
Yeah, they just had years of chemistry built up too. I mean, although that should also be the case with Joey Halsey, but it's all kind of theoretical.
He's been with him for a while.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he has, and that's why I go like, let's see with better receivers, better quarterback, and then so an O-line that has Heupel's guys all the way across it, some stuff like that. And
so what you're saying is an actual, like, a whole different team. I mean, if you just named everybody but running backs, you literally just named everybody but the running backs. Like,
and all
like it is.
Yeah, and I mean,
we can keep the running backs. We can keep those three, but everybody else, you got to go.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I guess it's just tough to say.
Well, I mean, but think about it. Think about it though. To contradict that statement a little bit. Last year, they weren't Heupel's guys. They all were receivers. The receivers are not. Hell, Hendon wasn't even a Heupel guy.
But here's my one thought on that.
So you see what I'm saying?
That's absolutely true.
It all depends on, you still got to be a dude. Just what it is. You still got to be a dude to go produce.
My one thought on that, though, is that you did see Joe Milton play under Golish, and it wasn't a ton different from what we're seeing right now. Like, it wasn't crazily different. And so I just want to see it with an additional sort of, Well,
when he came in last year and he played, but obviously mop-up time is totally different. And then he played the Vanderbilt game, kind of, or whatever. It was raining. It's Vandy.
And he was handed the ball off a lot.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just I hate to say it, that's just a toss-up. I mean, it was pouring rain in Nashville against Vanderbilt, but he threw a couple really good balls, and then the Orange Bowl, everybody's like, ooh, okay. So, I mean, he's shown he can play well. But since then, and I don't know if it's, I'm not saying that, it's not a personal thing. I'm just getting like, something between the QB and the receivers is off.
Yep.
Since the Orange Bowl. And we've been saying that all year. And I mean, that's just what it is. I don't know. None of us are able to put a finger on it because we're not in the building with them. But something is there because, and I don't know if Keaton's just gotten in his own head and got the yips, so to speak, after the Virginia game, the wide open ball. The one thing I can say is it doesn't really seem like Milton gets bothered by a lot of things because of his mannerisms. So I'm going to say that it's probably not his personality that's shaky, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he's always uplifting people, like even after the interception. That was a bad read. It is what it is. Bad read. Safety played low, but still was not, he didn't enter the box. If you're going to throw it, that's got to be a high throw, toe tapping back in the end zone, right? He got fooled. Those things happen along the way. But notice what he did instantly. Hey, that's on me. Went to the O-line, went to all the receivers, blah, blah, blah. So if you're looking at the game, I don't know if it's his psyche that's shaky. More so might be the receivers' psyches that are shaky, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
None of them are running. Like last year, the routes that were being ran were crisp. Like, you knew where the ball was going really early. Right now, nobody knows where the ball's going until the last second. Well, the ones that determine the routes in this offense are the receivers.
Well, let's
see what I'm going with. Like, it's just something there is what I'm getting at. I don't know what, but we've been saying it all year.
It's off.
Yeah, it is. But the positive thing is it's off, and we're still 5-1. We just got to get it going. Well, what it is. We're about to get into the heart of the schedule. We got to get it going.
I mean, that might be the toughest thing to swallow about this season so far. I mean, 5-1. I'm not gonna be insanely critical of that.
We don't want to be. We don't want to be Kansas that always goes, "Oh, we're 5-0." Then, "Oh shit, we're 5-6."
Yeah, and but the toughest thing to swallow is that you look at how good this defense has played and how powerful this front seven is right now, and you go, man, if you could have taken last year's offense and put them with this defense, you're probably playing for a national title last year, and that's Tennessee football right there for you. But
because we got back-to-back road games coming up, and Kentucky's not necessarily a pushover right now. They're not. I'm not saying they're the second coming, but they're not garbage.
It's gonna separate the men from the boys in a stretch coming up, and you got over one hurdle here. You beat Texas A&M. That was the one of 4 before UConn, if I'm thinking correctly. But we do have to cover these super chats because folks were nice enough to send us some dough here, and it'll finish up kind of this conversation about Milton and the whole thing. Chancery says, "Can we not trust Hype with Milton? Heupel, I think he's referring to Heupel. Heupel has shown he's petty. He needs to win. I have no doubt he's seeing something he's not comfortable with in Nico right now." And we've brought that up. We don't know what's happening.
We've talked about that in the past. Guys, he's a true freshman. Not many true freshmen are ready to play. Other positions are different than playing quarterback. Not many true freshmen are just ready to play. Right? Caleb Williams was an exception, but he didn't start the season off. Caleb Williams was an exception. He is a rare, generational type talent. Okay? It doesn't happen very often. I know everybody wants to see him play, and I get that. But it doesn't mean he's going to play just because we want to see him play and he was a hyped up recruit, blah, blah, blah. Just because he was a hyped recruit doesn't mean he's ready to play in the SEC right now. And we talked about that. There's obviously something there that why he's not playing. There's nothing we can do about it. We know he's not ready, or he probably would be playing. It would have been like Oklahoma 2 years ago when Spencer Rattler got pulled and they were undefeated. Right? They were undefeated, had 0 losses, and they pulled him in the Texas game. Right? Because Caleb Williams showed he was ready. It's just a matter of there's something there, and I'm not in whatever way. He's just obviously not ready to play at the moment. That may change next week. We don't know. But at the moment, he ain't there yet, or he would have been.
Yeah, I think there has to be something there. Timothy, thanks for his super chat, said, he's not Hendon, he's not Dobbs or Condra Chalaway. My complaint on Milton is he doesn't have touch, and he doesn't know how to release the ball faster, and he can't lead a wide receiver.
Well, we talked about that for what?
Yeah.
Is this his 3rd year in Knoxville now? That just because you can throw the ball 80 yards doesn't mean you can complete a ball.
Yep.
Just because you can throw it 115 miles an hour. I always use Randy Johnson as throw 115 mile an hour fastball. Doesn't mean you can throw a strike. Doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean you strike anybody out type deal in baseball. So that has always been my complaint with him. His first start, whatever, in 2 seasons ago, was he's got to learn to have touch on the ball. He's got to learn when to release it, as far as flicking the wrist with his shoulders and his elbow and all that. And you can tell nobody's ever taught him that. It's just, I'm just freakishly gifted. You know what I mean? I mean, he is. If you think about it, he is. Dude threw an orange 110 yards.
He's so physically
But that doesn't mean anything when throwing a football. But here's the thing, though. On the contrary, this is where all people, and I can almost guarantee you a lot of people in this comments get infatuated with, ooh, look how fast they can throw a football. Oh, look how far they can throw a football. That don't mean anything. But so it's what I'm getting is it's a double-edged sword. Everybody loves the side of they can do that. They can throw it 60 yards on their knees. Can you complete a comeback? That's the way I look at it. Can you complete a comeback?
Yep.
The arm strength is the most overrated attribute. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Well,
you got to be able to complete a pass.
Yeah, I just stand by. I stand my take from halftime. Joe is not that guy. He's not the field general that's going to drag you to a win, and he's not. You don't look at him and go, all right, there's 2 minutes left in the game. Joe is the guy that's going to do it for.
Yeah.
he's not going to be that guy. I think we know enough about him
Yeah.
at this point.
Well, I got a question. Not for you. I got a question for Rick Lynch. Did you not hear what I just said? I wasn't taking up for QBs. I was actually bashing arm strength.
Yeah.
Were you not listening?
But
like, honestly,
people hear what they want to hear.
Any QB. I was bashing because somebody can throw the ball 100 yards doesn't mean they can play quarterback.
but to that point, it's to finish that off for anybody that didn't hear at halftime. He's not going to be that guy. I think we know enough at this point, unless he just makes some giant turn. But to what we've just been saying, there's something with Nico that's just if they thought he was going to be the guy that's going to win them football games, I think Nico would be in the game. I just really do. Heupel is uber competitive, and he's not going to put a guy out there that he doesn't think is the best option. And the thing is this. Joe's playing the way that he's playing. The wide receivers are playing the way that they're playing, and you won this football game. So
there you go. Like, where was it just a second ago? Ben Hall. We won the game. Can we freaking celebrate? Yeah. I agree.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
It's conflicting.
We
isn't it?
won it. Like we said to start the show, an ugly win is better than a pretty loss. Right?
Absolutely.
So I totally agree with that. We are always going to critique and criticize about what we can do better and whatnot, but
well,
it is what it is. We won.
Let's finish with this. Alabama next week. You got to go to Tuscaloosa down there and play Alabama and the little mini demon down there. Can Tennessee do it, you think, Cromp? Did you see the game today it was what you would expect. They got a decent little lead. Milroe threw some passes that were good. Others, it was, he's nothing spectacular there. Still good at running the ball. Their defense was pretty good, but you don't know how good Arkansas is. Arkansas almost made a complete comeback and almost took the lead in the fourth quarter. So, it was not exactly just like a pristine game for Alabama, just to, sort of fill that in there. And do you think Tennessee can go to Bama and win?
Oh, yeah. From what I've seen from Alabama this year, totally. And what I've seen from us, we're earning our battle scars, so to speak, right? You're earning your trenches medals, whatever you want to call them. Like, your games are not always blowouts. You know what I mean? Like, you got to learn to win tough, tight football games. And right now, fortunately for the team, unfortunately for fans' psyche, that's what's going on. You know what I mean? And I'm going to say this just because I can't help it. A guy named David said, hey, bottom line is Joe is 5-1 as a starting QB this year. Well, technically, since Hendon got hurt, he's 7-1.
You can't knock
I'm not defending the play. I'm just saying, in all reality, in 8 games, he's 7-1.
Yep.
And when I say he, I mean the team. But, I get, and I want to say that just to get a little rise out of people. But back to Alabama, I think I could be wrong, but I think this should be like a defensive battle game. I would not be surprised if this game is like super low scoring. It's not going to be last year's 52-49 game. This one I think could be somewhere in like the 17-14 type game.
I think it will come down to who can make that play. And in this game with Texas A&M, it was the D. Williams return punt for a touchdown.
Exactly.
Who can make that play? The one that takes you to the victory. And that's it's gonna be a battle.
Billy Bob Taylor says 17-16 Tennessee. Well, I will be doing the show by myself because Charlie will have a heart attack and die.
I will be dead on the floor. But it's another 3:30 game, which honestly, I don't really mind because we actually get to do the show at a decent time, not at midnight. But tune in to the Big Orange Podcast Monday, 7 p.m. Zach and I have had terrible schedules lately. We've been we did it Wednesday at 8:30 this week, but Monday at 7 p.m. If I have any say in it, that is when the show will be, and Zach and I will give our full breakdown and our game prediction their Big Orange podcast right where you're watching this, the A to Z Sports Nashville YouTube channel. But anything else, Cromp, before we bounce? We're coming up on 50 minutes here. Any other observations, thing you want to talk about from this game?
No, I mean, it just, like we talked about, bottom line is we won. We needed a win, especially with the 2-game stretch we got coming up before we face UConn. So we really needed that for the psyche of the team.
Yeah.
But let's just run the damn football.
Oh, exactly. I need to get a shirt that says that. Run the damn ball. Yeah.
Hey,
it really may be the game next week.
Yeah. We run the ball really well. Like I said, Alabama's defense is good though. So we got to outlast them in that sense. The way that Alabama plays, CBS might be trying to like slow the game down, because if it wasn't a CBS game with how we're going to run the ball and how they're going to end up running the ball, it might go back to the old school, like the whole game be done in an hour and a half.
Ugh.
But CBS will not allow that.
Absolutely not. If the game was going to be if the game was going to be an hour and a half, they would make sure that there are 3.5 hours of commercials. They would ensure that if they do anything. All right. Awesome show. Thanks to everybody. Oh, Trish, you're too nice. She says, best analysis anywhere. Thanks, guys. You're too kind. Seriously, thanks to everybody who watches. You guys obviously are the reason that this show continues on, and that we're able to have sponsors and do this. We can't thank you enough. And yeah, we'll be back halftime post game of the Alabama game right here, A to Z Sports Nashville YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, the like button, the notification bell, whatever else, and then you'll also see me and Zach show Monday at 7 Eastern. Thanks again for watching, and we will talk to y'all next week.